Yeah, well, now I can do the thing where I don't tell you that we've started recording already.
It's like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
We had a false start, basically.
Yeah, we had a false start on the podcast. Only got like 5 minutes in, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no big deal. But
Let's
welcome to the show, everybody. We're probably gonna have a
jump
little bit
right
more
into
energy now because we already started.
it. This is true. We had a slow start. The equipment knew we wasn't ready.
Yeah, it just got
We had
us there.
started, yeah.
Yeah, we
we
had
had to
the
kind of warm up.
OBS fucked me over. It's made by haters.
It normally holds us down, but regardless, Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Cannot complain. Today is basically my Friday. I'm off work tomorrow. And I'm gonna go see Kendrick this weekend. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, you tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Yes. It was literally like a game time decision. I have been contemplating going and buying tickets for the longest time, but finally found some people that was willing to go. I am going tomorrow to the United Center, where I basically live at now.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time at the United Center.
Like literally probably 5 or 6 games last year and multiple concerts. So at this point, the Bulls might as well put me on a team.
Yeah, like,
Um
yeah, no, like you have a jersey with your last name on it, like just in case. Like,
just
do you
in case
remember
they
like
need me to check
what
them.
was it? Was it was last season? At some point, there was like everyone was out, and it was like,
Yep.
yo, if you have a Bulls jersey, United Center at 6, guys.
I mean, honestly, in a city like Chicago, you really could just pick someone off the street and they might end up their own. You never know.
Especially
am
where
not
the
getting
United
that.
Center is. Like,
Right. Especially on the west side. Jesus. But yeah, super excited for that. I know we've kind of talked about it in the past, but he might have a special set for
yeah,
Chicago.
yeah. So when I saw Kendrick, now granted, this was damn near 10 years ago. But
Jesus.
the second time I saw him, it was he mentioned that because he has family in Chicago, he does like a special set here and in Compton. So yeah, that was just like, who knows? That could just be like a fun thing he says at a concert. But I was 18. I
That
believed
is
it.
just true. I mean, are we really gonna sit here and say Kendrick's a liar?
No, no,
But
I believe Kendrick with all my heart. Like, I believe Kendrick more than anyone.
I was gonna say if you say God or something stupid, Brandon.
No, just like
Um,
I trust him more than I trust most people, though. To be honest.
you know, that's not even the wildest thing to say. And I think that's fair. Like some of the people that we follow,
Very,
not
very
not
shisty
all of them.
characters. Very
Yeah, I'm
bad.
about to say, not all of them.
We know a bunch of, how would you say, bad people.
Yes, and believe it or not, I might bring that up later. A little teaser, but
All right.
I'll get to that. Like I said, it's gonna be some interesting takes. But anyway, we're here.
Yeah,
We're
we're here.
ready.
We're here. We're gonna
Part
do the
two
episode.
of the debate,
Yeah. Now
and
Purvis
we're
is
right.
on defense. Uh.
Oh, you mean offense? I'm on offense this week. You got to
Oh
defend
yeah.
Ellie.
Now. Oh yeah. You're right. That's what I meant.
But I mean, anyway, we'll get to it. But
Yeah.
should we start off with the
Yeah.
news? I feel like
Let's
there's
start with the
not a
news.
ton of news.
Yeah. We're gonna try to
Um,
keep today a lean episode, everybody.
we got things going on in life. We're important people, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But we can start off with the albums.
Start with the albums.
So I tried to do some research here, but I found I don't know if it's a group, a record label, but underneath the name of Internet Money, we have a list. A lot of the young people dropping like an EP. Features some of the names are like Lucky out of Chicago. You have Yeet, who's been blowing up. You have Lil Tecca, Lil Yachty. A lot of the young people on a random label together. So I think this is going to be very exciting
Yeah.
to
So
listen to.
it's a label and a collective, like Odd Future.
I see. Hey, I'm fully behind that.
Yeah.
We love anything that can resemble an Odd Future. That was a once in a lifetime kind of group, I feel like.
Man, it's crazy how much Odd Future changed the game.
Yes.
Like, looking back on it, like, it was like it was just a complete and total sea change of like who was the people who were listening to hip hop.
Oh yeah, for sure. I brought in a lot more people, a lot of different styles. The people in the actual group of Odd Future has been extremely successful. and what they stood for. I feel like, damn, who knows? Next week we could do like a group podcast. We talk about like groups and collectives. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think they're one of the first, and they are very influential.
They're one of the most defining of our generation.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of like ASAP Mob or like Brockhampton and people like that. But the first one that comes to mind is Odd Future, and like what they did was so unique.
Yeah, I feel like Odd Future definitely tops ASAP Mob.
Oh yeah, yeah. That is very.
And I feel like Brockhampton, first off, I feel like they top them too. But also, I feel like that's a different thing.
That's
Because,
huge.
like, yeah, the Brockhampton guys have individual careers, but they are mostly known as a group.
Right.
Versus which, like, we got, like, what, like 2 Odd Future albums? Like, don't get me wrong. I completely agree with, like, the gravity of how much they've changed the game. I just think they were, it was mostly the sum of their parts.
I know what you mean. Completely
Yeah.
understand. But anyway, that's coming out, a short little EP. I'm excited for it. The second album I found, I honestly wasn't going to put this because like I don't find that relevant, but I also found it kind of interesting. And I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I want to talk about this. Not because I like this guy, but I want
Oh,
to.
that's fine. No, yeah, that's fine. I mean, open it up. What were you thinking?
Well, it's just like, damn, when was the last time you heard of B.O.B.?
I airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars.
Yeah.
I think that's him, right?
Yeah.
And that had to be like late middle school, maybe
Yeah.
high school. I don't.
That came out
Why is he still
when
making
I
music?
was that came out like a week after I graduated high school.
So yeah, I was right. I had to be in high school. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's dropping an album called Better Than Drugs.
Disagree.
I haven't heard of him in ages. I don't know if he's about to have some kind of knockoff. What's that J. Cole album that he dropped on
KOD.
420? Yeah, I don't know if this is going to knock off KOD. If it is, God, please help him. Because man, it will not fit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like I don't know, like when Airplanes came out, right? I remember like everybody I knew, the same people who put me onto like Lupe Fiasco and everything, they were like, no, this guy is actually really good.
Okay.
And they showed me all of his like early stuff from before Airplanes. And you know what? A lot of it was really, really good. You know?
I'm not against that take.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He has had 12 years of a career since then, and it has just not been.
Nope. I have no reason to ever go back.
Yeah, I have no
really
that and like
or desire.
And the other thing is, not only was like his music fell off so hard, it was like he got, what was the thing that like was everywhere? He was like a flat earther, right?
Honestly, I don't even know right now. My mind is being blown.
Yeah, he was. He was.
He might have been.
Yeah, he got like he was spreading a bunch of shit, like talking about how the Earth was flat.
I just like. I'm so sorry, Brandon. I put up his page on Spotify. Do you know he's dropped albums every year?
That's what I mean when I say like he's had 12 years and like nothing has really happened.
There's no way. I don't believe it. I am like dumbfounded. There's no way that this man has been dropping albums this whole time, and I had no idea. He must have like fell off so hard. He has a greatest hits album that he put out in 2019.
Wow.
This man is not allowed to have a
How many versions of Airplanes are on it? Yeah.
I think only one. Yeah. But no, yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be this deep. This is just terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I might rebel against this. Like this might be a one album that I truly want to go against. And I give everyone a shot.
I have no desire to listen to this album, to be honest with you. If like everyone was saying like, hey, this is actually extremely cool, okay, maybe I would give it a shot. but that's not gonna happen. Like,
Good question. Who fell off harder? This man or the baby?
ah, man.
And like,
This
think
guy,
about it for a
this
second,
man, like, it,
because he has some hits, and like they were pop hits, so like they were
yeah, they were
everywhere.
crossovers. Yeah, they were big crossovers.
Wow,
I still gotta say this guy.
that's insane. Because the way I think about the baby now, since it's more relevant, and I kind of know a little bit more,
Yeah,
like the baby hit a wall, and I don't, we nobody listens to him anymore. And he had some crazy long hit, or not long, but crazy large hits. He
yeah,
kind of got stuck with his one style, and now I don't hear much about him, and he's
yeah.
problematic. How in the world did B.O.B. fall off so hard?
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Like, even beyond just being problematic, like, what I really think that flat Earth shit like played a part. Like, I'm looking it up right now.
It was
Like,
pretty prevalent then. You're
yeah, it
saying
was
like
like,
he was like making a stance.
yeah, no, it was like a months long campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, he had like a months long social media campaign about flat Earth.
It makes you question like person's
And it,
personality, I guess you want to say.
or just like it's something's not connecting. There's something loose.
There's something loose. I've never heard that as a way to describe. Okay, but I kind of know what you mean. That's funny. Yeah, yeah, something's loose. That's a good way to put it.
All right, we just talked about Bob for longer than I thought we would.
It's just, I honestly, I'm speechless. I
Yeah.
really am. I didn't know he was making music this whole time, and I can't tell you one song.
Oh
But
God, is
anyway,
this worse than French Montana?
man, come on, that's tough.
No, it's not.
That's
At
tough.
least Bob had the hits. Like,
French Montana had what was it? Congratulations or something. I think of another person.
that was Post Malone.
Nah, Unforgettable. I was thinking about
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. But anyway,
Yeah, I think that
um,
song blew up because the video blew up. Because like every time you watch the video, like they donated money, which like don't get me wrong, that's cool. But like,
I didn't even know that. I had no idea that was a thing.
yeah, it was for like a third world country. I forget which one. I sound very insensitive right now. Like,
No, I mean the fact that you knew that is more than I did.
it was
That's amazing.
something. It was
That's a good
something
cause.
where it was like they were giving back, and that's where it blew up. Which like don't get me wrong,
You know
that's
what?
cool.
I know I was gonna say it doesn't change how I really feel about him, but you know what? I do at least respect that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can move on to singles. I have a list of singles here that I feel like I'll listen to once and forget about them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I'll just go through them.
There's at least
5 Year Foreign.
5 year
Sorry, go
for
ahead.
London freestyle. There's
Yeah.
at least one that I'm kind of I am interested in listening to.
Okay. Which one?
Let's run them through first.
Okay. 5 Year Foreign is coming out with London Freestyle.
Yeah.
G Herbo featuring Offset is coming out with A, like
Yeah.
literally AYE. Offset featuring Moneybagg Yo. Song is called 51321. Side note, produced by Baby King. Interesting. That's why I thought it was interesting.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
Perfect. We're on the
Yeah.
same page.
Yeah. That was simply because like I feel like I only hear Baby Keem's production really on his albums and the couple songs he produced for Kendrick,
Hmm.
and like it's good. Like it's not.
Yeah.
But I want to see him stretch. You know what I mean? I gotta see him stretch his legs a little bit before I can really judge him as a producer. You know what I mean? I feel like I
That is
haven't
true.
crossed that threshold yet.
Right. As an artist, at least we have a good sense of who he
Yeah.
is, like what he's capable of. But as a producer, it's very limited evidence, at least. Um, but anyway, we have Chief Keef still making music. Coming out with Chief So. Key Glock, I believe it's already out, came out from nothing. And then Lucky is coming out with Coincidence. All artists that I'm familiar with, none of them I would put. If I was like make a tier list, which we might do one day, who knows? these would all pretty much be in like my C,
Yeah.
or that would be the highest output.
When we get 1,000 subscribers / listeners, we'll do a tier list.
Fair enough. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all the singles.
Yeah.
And then we have
504 could be cool.
Yeah, but he just came out with the album. I never really understood that.
Yeah, the album
I'm not gonna
was
say it. Go ahead.
the album was dense and not a good way.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it.
I mean, I haven't even listened, but I very go against the concept of mass producing music.
Yeah.
I understand Frank Ocean, don't listen to me, Rihanna, don't listen to me, Kendrick, don't do another 5 years. But like I understand the importance of taking time to make a project. Like there needs to be time
Yeah.
to develop and pass. I'm strongly against artists like making music right after an album, unless it's in the deluxe, you know.
Yeah. Well, because it starts to make the music feel more like a product and less like art.
AKA, why is Drake coming out with an album every year?
Yeah, because
He is
Drake's,
literally
he's a brand.
brand.
Yeah, he's a brand. You know, like Drake puts out an album every year for the same reason there's a new iPhone every year.
That is very true. and what do we? No, I'm not even gonna get into that. Literally, the iPhones are the same every year. It's just very small tweaks.
Very small tweaks, and sometimes it's how the phone looks.
Mm-hmm. So we'll take it. So, going on to actual news, some very sad news to start off. I'm hurt, Brandon. I'm in pain.
Yeah,
I'm missing out on Don Tolliver. He is no longer going to be on the Kid Cudi concert.
That sucks.
This really hurts. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because I was listening to him on the radio and I was like, man, I was really looking forward to seeing him live, seeing his energy and how he could perform in the stadium. I wish I knew, and I was gonna ask, didn't know if he was reading up on it, but like I heard a rumor that maybe he couldn't be paid, and that's why he was getting off the concert.
I have no idea.
Okay.
You know, I have not looked into it at all as to why he's not like showing up, like why he's not doing the tour. I will say this, like after seeing Lollapalooza, and like don't get me wrong, like I think he was worthwhile. Like don't get me wrong, like I wouldn't tell you not to see.
Right.
But it did seem like he was struggling to get through a set. Like, and not from like a creative or a work ethic standpoint, from like a physical exhaustion standpoint.
Do you think that was more due to like just the lack of experience, where you might be out of shape, or is it like drugs? Two very different things.
I leaned with the first. It looked like he was getting gassed, you know. And I think it's something that could be more experience than necessarily being out of shape.
Right.
But yeah, no, it just seemed like it did not seem like honestly, like I'm happy you brought up the drugs thing, because that's like exactly what it didn't look like. Because like it looked like he wanted to be there and he wanted to give like the best performance he could. Like I don't know if you've ever seen an athlete and you could just tell they're giving it their all, but their all is just not good enough. Like,
yeah,
that's what it looked like, you know. Like, like I gotta keep it real. Like that's exactly the vibe I got from it. Not to mention the technical issues. Not his fault at all. Definitely makes me like the dude, because like he went out there and like fought through it.
Handled it right.
Yeah, he handled it the best he could. But like that's a reality, and I can see that being a factor. I don't know if it's the whole thing. I think it'd be irresponsible to say that's the whole thing.
Right. Obviously, we're both just kind of coming up with takes on what it could.
But that's just my take, having seen him very recently.
Okay. I mean, I think that's very reasonable. I don't think it's saying anything crazy. I just it kind of hurts, and I was actually going to propose and bring it up to you. Do you feel like there should be, and not just in this concert necessarily, and I'm not saying this because I'm expecting something back, because I really am not, but do you think there should be something in place to compensate fans for things like this? Does he need to find a replacement? Should there be cheaper tickets? Obviously, there's more to it, but how does Kid Cudi make up for over promising, under delivering?
Well, first off, like, because I don't know, I feel very uncomfortable putting the onus on Kid Cudi. I don't know if Kid Cudi had anything to do with Don Toliver leaving.
That is also very true.
So it's
that
like,
is a great point. That's a great
now,
point.
so on one hand, it's like, one, like, I don't think. That being said, I think like it's in the best interest of like the promoter and the people organizing the tour and Kid Cudi to like find a replacement. Especially because like that tour was advertised like Kid Cudi, Don Toliver, and Denzel's not going to be there either. Now, granted, that was advertised. You knew that when you bought the ticket. But
yeah, at that point, I knew Denzel was going to be there. But like you said, it literally was like when it was announced,
yeah,
it was their out or their tour.
Yeah. So like I would think it would be in their best interest to get a replacement. But if they don't, the only real thing they can do is just give you like a big longer set.
Yeah, and just more songs to it.
And like, look, I don't know the mechanics of it. I don't know what happens. So it's hard to say like what could and like who's responsible and like what should happen. But I would definitely say that it behooves them to get a replacement. So my question for you is like, who would you want to see as a replacement?
It's tough because
Who's
I
someone
honestly
you think can fill that role?
It is very hard because just that aesthetic by itself, I feel like their combination it would be very unique.
Yeah.
As they can play off each other and like their own characteristics. Because this is going to be a very like spacey kind of show.
Yeah.
Who's a spacey artist that could fill that? Jesus Christ. I gotta think, Brandon.
Yeah.
That's a very hard question.
Yeah. No, I can't think of anyone. I mean,
because he's just, and that's one thing to speak on. Like Don Toliver himself, he's very unique in his own style. Like I don't know anyone that can even.
Yeah, he's unique in his own style. He's also in a spot that not a lot of artists are in, where they are names, but they are not headliners.
Exactly.
You know, like the two other names I think would be like in the same spot in their career, just from a touring perspective, not creatively. As Don Toliver would be like Baby Keem and Denzel, but Denzel's on the tour.
Like, right. Denzel's
Baby
already
Keem's on the Kendrick tour.
Right. It's funny because those are the other two names I did think about that are similar in that fashion in terms of the level that they're at. Because the only other things that I can like think about, it would be a bigger name and it would just it would ultimately change the project altogether.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer. It's just
no.
It hurts.
The only thing they could do is that, like, you know, they could get someone bigger.
I would like to see a little Uzi Vert and Kid Cudi. I think that would be an interesting collab.
That's a really good name. That would be awesome. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like that would be a crazy collab. Still kind of get that space.
It's like an impossible needle to thread because like you have to think like who's not on tour right now,
who would actually fit.
Yeah, who could actually fit. Another one is Corday.
I don't know if Corday's big enough. I think the real issue is that I just don't want to see Corday.
Okay.
No, I'll say it that way. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I think Corday is as big as Don Toliver. I think they even out because what Corday may lack in popular appeal, he makes up for in fan and critical love.
Okay.
You know, so I would say they even out.
Okay, hear me out. NAV? I'm not saying that it'll be good. Like I know you wouldn't enjoy it, but
I think from a touring perspective, like I actually think NAV is like actually a pretty good replacement for a
very close replacement.
Like very much like in the same. from a touring perspective, yeah, I would say he's
Right.
in the same tier, 100%.
Kind of same
Yeah,
vibe, same tier, like surprisingly fits.
yeah. No, I actually don't think that's I think it's a clear fit.
Wow.
Uh, the only thing is that like once again, I hate Nav.
Yes.
Uh, and my only thing is that who does who does Nav tour with? Like, has he ever gone on tour with anyone?
I would have to do research right away. I know he's done some with the bigger names than him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I'm trying
he's
to
like,
think what energy or like what
here's the
vibe.
okay. So I'm looking up his concert date right now,
Oh, okay. You beat me to it.
and yeah, like he's like third build at like Rolling Loud, which I would say is like relatively the same spot. Yeah,
Yep.
I would say Nav is absolutely in there. Like like he does like the House of Blues.
Hmm.
So like like a big place, but not the biggest.
I'm okay with that,
Yeah, no,
honestly.
I would say he would probably slide in the best, except for the
All
fact
right.
that Don Tolliver is good. Like,
That is fine. You can say that. Wow, he did a tour with Schoolboy Q at multiple venues.
who, Nav?
Yeah, in 2019. I'm looking at previous
Yeah,
things now because I just got curious.
yeah,
Um, but anyway, in other news, on a more positive note, we have Nipsey Hussle
yeah.
birthday, as I believe, on the 15th. They created a Nipsey Hussle Day as official that date in LA, and he has been cemented in the Hall of Fame. I think that's really dope.
Is it the Hall of Fame or the Walk of Fame?
Walk of Fame, Jesus, Hall of Fame, Walk of
Yeah,
Fame.
no, I totally understand. Yeah, dude, super dope. Like, I mean, how do you not like Nipsey Hussle?
Right. I don't know if anyone would actually be against this. Like, it wouldn't even make sense. Have you ever been to the Walk of Fame?
No, I've never really been west of the Mississippi River.
Oh, really? Oh,
No,
I
I've
didn't know
never
that.
been to like Texas, Colorado, California. Not yet.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's just I've been poor my whole life.
All
Not
right,
my
bro.
family. My family's fairly well off, but like I've
Let's
I've
see.
just
My
only
dad's funny.
recently started. The name of the show is The Unpaid Nobodies. You think that's something we just made up?
Yeah, it wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah, like
It's very spot on to our lifestyle.
yeah,
But no, yeah, the reason I asked, and not even like in a negative sense, but the like Walk of Fame in like Hollywood, it is not like a good area.
yeah,
Like actually though, like I feel like, and I could be wrong, and this could just be a placebo, not placebo, but the mindset that I had previously, I thought Hollywood was like the city, like money, wealth,
yeah,
all these famous people, and yada yada yada. When in like reality, that's like Beverly Hills and like
yeah.
Bel Air. It's very different area. Hollywood is literally like compared to like Madison or Toronto. I'm so serious.
Say that one more
Like
time.
it,
Madison Avenue.
yes, in Chicago, like it was
It,
like not that good of an environment. It is the street that has like the corny like wax museum
yeah.
and like mirror museum,
Oh,
and
it's like
then
a
like
tourist trap.
literally like the Ripley's. Believe it or not, every other store is like a tourist store.
Yeah,
There's homeless people out everywhere. There's performers out, and it's literally it feels like Michigan. I was very disappointed.
yeah. LA is a different beast.
It's Jesus,
Like
man.
it's a different beast. Now, once again, I've never been there, but I've seen a lot of movies. No,
I
but
will
just like
say
just it's
when I
so
went
spread
last
out.
year, it
It's
was
like a different
yeah.
type of city.
It's very unique in its own sense. I've never experienced anything like it. When I went last year, the fact that I went from like Compton, which is infamously known as like a bad neighborhood, I'll just put it that way,
Yeah,
to like
some would say it's a
one of
mad
the
city.
a mad city, to like literally some of the richest people in LA or
Like
in America,
yeah,
like
literally the
an
son
hour
of
away.
Bel Air.
Like it's some insane like
Wealth disparity.
yes,
Shit's so
just like
gross.
and a little bit further away, you have Skid Row and like all this other stuff. It's LA's weird. California's weird.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, and like, look, we're on our high horse. Like, we don't live in the most segregated city in the world, but
It
like,
literally is the most segregated. Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah, but like, fuck you. This Chicago's better than LA for sure. Like,
it's just maybe because it's the tourist effect. Maybe when people come to Chicago, they see the same thing.
they come to
I don't
my
know
they
how
come to
we
my
even-
neighborhood. That's what they do.
Right. That's yeah, that's true.
They go downtown and they take a day trip to Wrigleyville.
It's funny that you even say that because, like, even people now, we have friends that are going to come into town from like Iowa who have no idea about like Chicago culture, and like I'm pretty sure the Airbnbs they were looking at was your area, and then back out towards like the west side where they can just go downtown and go home.
Yeah,
They don't even know like
yeah,
where to go or what to do.
yeah. No, it's insane. Oh God. All right,
But,
so we got an announcement about us.
Yeah, lead it off.
Yeah, so we are taking the show to YouTube. Not like exclusively, like we're still going to be posting it as a podcast. It's still audio only because we're not doing a video component yet. Because I don't want to bite off more than I can chew right now with the way work is. So still audio only, but we thought we'd put it on YouTube to like just test out those waters. Maybe we can start. I know the end goal for the show is to eventually do like a live show that's also audio. So this is certainly a first step towards it, like just making a name on the platform. You know, want to take advantage of the YouTube algorithm because like podcasts are hard. Like,
I was about to say if you are consistent and you make long videos, YouTube likes you a lot.
yeah, they like you a lot. So like we have an hour and a half every Friday. So YouTube's
Can't beat that.
Yeah, YouTube's gonna love us. Oh, we're gonna premiere every video. Oh, it's gonna be great. Like,
so honestly, by all means, this is just
like,
an effort
subscribe.
to get as many people we can get.
Yeah.
If you want to share with your friends, we appreciate it.
Yeah, if you haven't told your friends about us, fuck you, Isaac. Like, we thought you were cool. Like,
no, Isaac probably has brought the largest group of people.
Isaac is our number one evangelicalist.
Literally.
He's out preaching. But yeah, so like, subscribe. Well, the link will be in the description of the episodes from now on.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and yeah, eventually we'll be doing video stuff. I think that'll eventually be the plan.
We'll come back at like episode 100, and these are gonna be like the archive episodes.
Yeah,
we're gonna see it all. Really side note, quick before we get into the actual conversation.
Yeah.
Jit just announced another single releasing on YouTube tonight.
Oh, what's it called?
So, adding that to the list. I think it's called 2007, and he said it's featuring my pops, which is actually Abraham, one of the co-owners of Dreamville, and he said a few words from J. Cole. So this is this is a big one.
All right, we'll have to listen to that. Loved that last single he dropped.
Jeez.
Dance
video.
The video was crazy good. That beat was.
This man gonna be on when I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. It's going to be in my top 5. I'm calling it.
Yeah. It was good. It was a really, really good video. All right. So, shall we step into the ring?
Round 2.
The octagon of ideas.
No, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's time that we get to the belly section. There are some things that I felt was necessary to say before we jump into it, just to like understand, or honestly for like our listeners.
Yeah.
Because we've discussed this multiple times in the past, previous to us even owning a podcast. I think my dislike for Belly is significantly less than your like for Nav.
Yeah.
And secondly, I know it's kind of presented in a way where it's like you have to pick one, but it's not quite.
No, that's not.
fashion.
No, yeah.
Right.
I feel like this entire show's ethos is pushing back against the idea that all this shit's a competition. But we just couldn't resist like the format. Like
it,
we just couldn't.
it it just made sense, but in reality, the reasons you like Nav has nothing, or dislike him has nothing to do with like your love for Belly, and my like love for Nav does not
Yeah.
make me dislike Belly. I think the reasons we dislike each other's artists are very different,
Yeah.
and I think that creates an understanding for how much we don't like that specific artist and the
Yeah.
level that we give to it.
Yeah. It's definitely, I'm at a point because like there's a tension here, and this will shape the conversation to come for sure. So there's a tension because yes, that's totally true. Like we are not the kind of people who see this as like a zero sum game. You know, the it is told like they're completely independent artists. There's no reason to pit them against each other, right? What I do think though is I do think they are interesting to compare and contrast because
It is, yeah.
as much because at the same time they are very similar but also very different.
Mhm.
They have, and it's kind of shocking like how wild that difference can be at times.
Yes, I was actually going to say when you say like a similar fashion in terms of like how similar they are, it's incredible. And I think what was the most interesting part out of like everything when it started, because like I said, we've been talking about this for years now. It's very like I'm fascinated at the idea of how similar these people actually are. Signed to the same record, similar kind of cultures and background, I feel like.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely gonna get similar perceptions in the hip hop genre.
right. And I won't say their style is the same in any sense, but the crowd that they can bring in is typically can be similar. So in that sense, there are a lot of similarities, but I think the differences in terms of jumping over the belly, I'm going to try not to like make comparisons to Nav because I think the dislike you have towards him is more towards just like the quality of the music itself.
Yeah,
And so that's very different from why I do not like Belly.
yeah, and
I personally
expand
don't.
on that.
Right. I was going to say, I understand Belly is talented. He's very skillful. And I see everything in place to click, but it literally just doesn't for me. Like he doesn't have the it factor, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And and then we'll kind of get into exactly what I mean by like the it factor. It's just it's something that I've realized. I think as a person, I just don't connect or like him in that sense, and not in a way that like, oh, I don't like someone because I don't really say that about anyone, but like
not like personally. You just mean like
exactly
creatively.
as a creative artist and like a musician, I just cannot grasp a hold of himself, and his music. And then when I take a step back, I feel like I'm not the only one when you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it. Last week I started off with why I even like now. So let's jump off. You can start it with Belly.
Okay. Totally. Because it is interesting. Because in this process, my feelings on Belly have shifted. Let's say. Because like they're more or less the same, but I think there's a greater context. So yeah, Belly is an artist who I discovered just because they're on XO with The Weeknd, and The Weeknd is one of my favorite artists. So it seems to me to be like a natural fit to just be like, oh, like if I like The Weeknd, I should just take to this guy, right? And what's funny is that it was actually like a pretty slow build because there's a song on I think his second mixtape with The Weeknd that I heard, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy good. And then I heard the entire album. I'm like, this is not great. Like as a whole, like
Okay.
it's just kind
And
of shallow.
which one was this?
This was a different mixtape. So the
Okay.
one we're talking about today is INZOMBIA.
Right. Which I feel like it deserves a breakdown.
Yeah, and the thing that I realized, like in the past 2 weeks, because I have been listening to a lot of Belly. He's currently my number one artist on Tidal.
Really?
Yeah, for right now.
I'm
Uh,
shocked.
yeah, but the thing is, I have learned that the dude he has a very high ceiling. Like his best songs are some of the best songs in the years they come out.
Yeah.
Uh, but he has not come together as an artist, most like as an album artist, that well. And
Okay.
NZOMBIA is the exception. I think NZOMBIA is like a very solid project throughout. But Up for Days, which was the one I was talking about that had the song Might Not with Belly and the Weeknd. Like, yeah, like it's not a particularly compelling mixtape. Like it's good, like, but I see it as just a, you know, when I was talking about like how like that like if that NAV album we were talking about last week, like if it just had like just tighter bars, just more like just like those hip hop fundamentals, let's say.
Right. The fundamentals to
Yeah, if
make
it
a
had the
song good.
fundament, like those first two albums, like I kind of see it as very similar to that Nav mixtape,
Hmm.
just with much stronger lyrical fundamentals.
Hmm.
You know, and I think, and so initially I bounced off it a little bit, but then when I heard Another Day in Paradise, which is still not a complete success as an album, but it has many great songs, it clicked a little bit more for me. And I'm like, oh, this guy is like actually like a really decent writer. And I see him as like bridging the gap between, I'm going to say two rappers, and I do not mean that Belly is in this tier, right? I mean, in these two styles, I see him bridging the gap between like that super punchline focused, like Lil Wayne style, and the more substantive, thematic Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole types. I see him as like threading that needle and doing it very successfully. And as someone who just look has an appreciation for writing and wordplay and rhythm and payoff, that just that appeals to me. That is my favorite thing to find in an artist. And look, have I found it more with other artists? Absolutely. You know, I would not say Belly's in my top 10 favorite hip hop artists.
Okay.
But I think Belly does it extremely well. I think he is extremely underrated. That's really my thing, is that like I don't think Belly is like in the top tier of the genre right now, but I do think he is the most underrated rapper.
It's interesting that you're opening up with this because this was one of my points that I did notice specifically on this album. I had to do some research
Yeah.
because I just didn't know about the artist that well. I didn't realize he only has like 3 or 4 official albums, correct? The rest are all
Yeah.
mixtape.
Yeah, he has a lot of mixtapes, which I thought was which is one of the reasons why I picked this one,
Hmm.
was because even though I think it's his best work, it's still a mixtape, and so was that Nav project. So I felt it was fairer.
That's very, very good. Because honestly, when I first listened to it, I thought it was decent. Like it didn't grasp me that hard. And like once I actually pulled out the lyrics on the second listen, I did the research. I found this was a mixtape. I appreciated it more. I honestly did.
Yeah.
The fact that this wasn't an official album, but it comes off with a somewhat concept structure,
Yeah.
it's impressive. It is.
Yeah.
Now, what I would say, he is a writer. He's a great writer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call him like a lyricist. And it's interesting that you brought up someone like those names because when I was personally listening to Belly, and I honestly wasn't trying to go in with like a hard head and like trying to be stubborn. I tried to come in with a clean slate because I've heard his other albums do to you. Like the wordplay, the word structure, the word choice are all really good. But like it just didn't really come together at some points. And I feel like one thing that kind of stood out to me when I listened to rap specifically, and I add those songs to like the vault, for example, it's a specific line that I listen for. And it's like, I don't know why, but it just hits. And like I connect to it and I feel the artist. It didn't happen that too often on this album. Like there's a couple songs that are phenomenal, but I still feel like there was some lackluster parts to it. And I was just gonna ask, like, when you listen to Belly, we text each other randomly, just lyrics, like for no reason. And it could be the most simple lyric. I literally text you Baby King on the way back from the train, and it's literally him saying, like, oh, I told my grandma to sit back and relax.
Yeah.
And like that's not something complex. But like when you sit down and think about it and you think about your culture and like it's personally me, I can relate to that, even though it's literally just him screaming this in a song, and I'm gonna be screaming it tomorrow in concert. Like I can relate to like there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna look at my mom and be like, look, you need to sit down and relax. Like you've been working hard your whole life. Please relax and let me help you. I just feel like there wasn't many points in this album that I felt that moment. And I was gonna ask if you do you understand that? Do you think that's justified? Do you counter that? Because like, is there ever a time where you're just sitting there and like a Belly lyric just comes to mind?
All the time. Probably more than
Really?
most rappers.
Okay. And
Yeah.
is it this album in specific,
Yes.
or is it like Immigrant? Because I know that Immigrant was good.
Immigrant is really good. Like, it is not exclusively this album by any means,
Mm-hmm.
but songs from this album are the ones that I
Kind of
quote and
click.
say all the time. Yeah, like, as a matter of fact, like, one of the things I wrote down as, like, a benefit of this album was, like, all the quotables. Like, I think it's an incredibly quotable album.
There was, like I said, there are a couple of songs, but like I just feel like
Yeah.
and maybe it's because I don't attach myself to Belly himself.
Yeah.
I was curious, and we can take that direction, and then we can get into this specific album. Who would you specifically say Belly is for? Who do you
I
think his demographic is?
I think his demographic is a crossover of like people who like The Weeknd, like people like that, like people who like introspective, dark, moody music. Because I think it's fair to say that his music does qualify as that. I also think and this makes a little bit more sense. I think he's a little bit more in like the hardcore hip hop lane. And to me, like one of the smartest things Belly has done in his career was in the single he dropped for his last album. He featured Benny the Butcher,
Okay.
and I think that's kind of the lane he's in.
Okay.
I think, and like it's not immediately obvious because like you kind of want to compare him to Nav, to a more vibey artist, but I
Yeah.
think like when you actually like look at his skill set as a musician and as an artist, he's way closer to like the Griselda guys than he is Nav.
So I guess I should ask then, because that's perfect
Does
timing.
that match with you? Like, do you see where I'm coming from with that?
Honestly, it is a very interesting take, and I do fully understand where you're coming from now that you make those comparisons. Because I was literally about to say it's perfect timing that you say this because just last night I was telling my brother Isaac about this episode is going to be about Belly. I was giving him some of my points to see if they were kind of justified things
Does
like that.
Isaac listen to Belly? Isaac, do you listen to Belly? You should listen to
He
Belly,
get,
Isaac. Like,
I asked him. He gave him a try. He said it's just not for him.
yeah,
He's not against him. He is just not for him.
yeah.
Um, and so anyway, we were just talking just in general, and it's crazy that you said Benny the Butcher because we started talking about how underrepresented, or not underrepresented, but underappreciated East Coast rappers are right now.
Oh yeah.
You have Benny the Butcher, you have Conway the Machine, you have West Side Gun, you have the Alchemist, this entire group, this subsection that we've talked about before, that's like the dark, grimy, but very heavy lyrical
I would describe them
musicians.
as hardcore hip hop. That's what they
That's what I'm
are.
saying.
Yeah, like they are modern, but they're traditionalists. Like they are that's what I would say.
And what they are, what they exactly what they are at, is like the fact that all these tie up together, they're extremely underappreciated and kind of overlooked. Like I will say, and when I was saying it to Isaac, right now, I wouldn't say these people are necessarily underground artists, but that's typically where you find their music at. People who mostly listen to underground, low key artists. And if he fits in that zone and he's not as big as the already somewhat smaller guys, I just feel like Belly can't capture that big of a market.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know where he could fit in it, you know?
yeah, but I guess like my counter argument to that would be, does he need to?
Like, that's a great point because that was another
Yeah,
question I was going to
and another
say.
thing is, I don't want to put anything out there, but like Belly like books pretty big shows. Like he was a closer for Coachella this year.
Which is good. I honestly,
Yeah.
I'm happy for him, and like, hopefully, it doesn't come off like I'm praying for his downfall. But
No,
like,
not at all. I think you're
in
coming across
reality,
very, very open minded, which is very
right?
interesting.
But I just was trying to get a better understanding because another thing I brought up to Isaac, maybe he can find a certain market. I said last week, Nav jokes about being the first brown boy to get it popping, and like that's a lyric. People meme it, but in reality, these two are both brown and they have that influence and they have a very unique perspective. And I
Yeah.
understand the market isn't huge, but like, do you feel like he can find a different direction to maybe represent a certain demographic as he has that experience? Because I don't know anyone talking about like being brown in
Well,
America or being brown wherever.
I mean, like, look at Immigrant. That's what that album was.
That is true.
Like,
He
and
took a shot at it
yeah,
100%.
and the other thing is, and Immigrant like did well. Like, it performed well. Like, it got pretty good reviews. Like,
Hmm.
and I think that's actually interesting that you bring that up because like if we're comparing the two artists, Belly and Nav, and like I don't want to like so much butt them against each other as much as compare and contrast.
Hmm.
But like I think like the way they deal with the fact that they are an underrepresented like minority in hip hop, uh, Nav being Desi and Belly being Palestinian, I think they do it very, very differently. And like you said it yourself, like the way Nav does it is he jokes like he makes it into the meme, like, oh, first brown boy to get it popping. And Belly does it by making an entire concept album about that theme.
So I should ask then. And you said they're coming from, and both of them are doing this. They have very different perspectives, and it lines up.
Yeah.
Everything is lining up accordingly, like to what we're saying. Because in reality, J. Cole literally talked about this. Some niggas make millions, some niggas make memes. In reality, if Nav is blowing up and has almost 1 billion followers on Twitter, and he is the meme artist, he's going to have the more broken down commercialized music.
Yeah.
Whereas just Belly naturally, I'm taking a look now, he's just short of 200,000.
Yeah, he's nowhere near as big.
And so I think, and you can share your opinion on this, but one thing that has turned me away from when I tried to get more into Belly, it just comes naturally with the territory, but in some cases, he can come off corny. And the reason I say that, I had to think about this for a while, but there is an older song by Lupe Fiasco talking about dumb it down. And the whole song is literally about like you need to dumb down your music for it to be consumable for the public.
Yeah.
And Lupe is literally saying, like, I'm not dumbing down nothing. I need to get my point across, things like that. I think Belly takes that approach, but I believe it's kind of too far. And unfortunately, taking that approach does give you a sense of being corny to the public eye because it's against tradition or whatever you need to do to become successful. But I find I just went through his Twitter brand and I did scroll that far. He comes off almost amateurish. Like some of the things that he's trying to get across, I understand he's an underrepresented artist and like some people may not give him his potential and things like that. But he just like spams tweets as though he's like still grasping and fighting to make it to the top. And I feel like to become a hip hop artist, you need to have a certain level of confidence. And if we saw, I won't say names, but we have mutual friends that tweet, that put up Snapchats of like kind of corny inspirational stuff, or like it comes off really amateurish.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
mean,
understand?
no, I don't. I don't disagree. There are certainly, yeah, I definitely think like the social media presence can definitely be corny. Uh, like
Do
it
you
just,
follow him on social media? Because I didn't
I
follow him. I
do.
didn't know it. I was just
You
scrolling
know,
and like, that's a month. It's a
no,
lot.
I do. And I don't see because the thing is he doesn't. I'm on Twitter a lot, and like the tweets that flood my page are people who tweet like every hour,
Okay.
and he tweets like every other week, and it's like he just kind of gets lost in there.
Hmm.
Uh no, I don't think that's out of bounds. I never really got the corny thing, just because my experience has always been that there are two types of people who know Belly and like him, and people who just have never heard of him. You know, like I don't know a whole lot of people who are aware of this person and don't like him. As a matter of fact, like I think you probably have the most negative opinion out of any of my friends, and I think you have yeah, and I don't think you're being like harsh or particularly negative. I'm just saying like I never had that perception just because this is my experience.
Hmm.
And the other thing is that like there are people like Mario at work. Remember? Like he played Belly all the time.
Yeah, he loves Billy.
Yeah, like I know a ton of people that know him and like him a lot. So I just never saw him that way.
Hmm.
But like the way you talk about it coming across amateurish, yeah, that's definitely true. Like it does read like I saw this tweet the other day when it's like, and remember, I'm in like the ultra online, very savvy circles.
Okay.
But it was like a meme, and it was like, "Oh, you just followed a coworker on Twitter," and it was just like a bunch of like very,
Oh yeah. I've seen that. I
like,
did see that one. I
yeah,
saw that
it's
one.
like,
Okay.
yeah. Sometimes his Twitter reads like that, 100%. Uh,
Okay.
so I can't get mad at that. I would say that I think if you were there are certain songs and like maybe even certain projects that if you were like, man, that's corny, I would defend the project against being
Hmm.
corny. I don't think NZOMBIA is corny. I don't think Immigrant is corny.
Oh no, some of his best work.
Yeah,
Absolutely, some of his best
but
work. Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't think he is beyond that. I've never really felt that. That's not really my experience. But I mean, except on social media, he gets mad annoying. But he's also like, I think he's interesting. Like I think he's also an activist, and I see him using his social media in intelligent ways a lot of times.
Okay. I
Especially
wouldn't doubt it at
yeah,
all.
especially like when like I remember I was really following his social media last May when
Okay.
tensions on the Gaza Strip flared up.
And he had like a pretty good presence there.
He just had a very good presence. He was always like very well informed on that.
That's good.
And
Honestly, that is good.
and the other thing is that like it does come down to just emotional connection, and you said it yourself, like you can't make yourself love something,
Mm.
which
It's, I was gonna say it's funny that you say that because I also said to Isaac yesterday, I was like, I feel bad for making Brandon listen to NAV for like a full week because I know you hated it. I
yeah,
know you
no,
did not
like
enjoy it
yeah,
because
but
like
like
even Belly, I don't dislike him that much, but I didn't really want to sit there and listen to it.
yeah, no,
And
I feel that,
even
and
if I have
yeah,
the most negative impression out of all your friends, I still like. I'm not against him. I hope he does well.
yeah, yeah, no, I like totally get that. Now I gotta ask you though, like, let me ask you about some certain tracks. What did you think about the track on this one with Nav?
Um, it has to grow me, believe it or not. When you first said that you liked this song, I think by the third or fourth listen of the album, I was like, okay, I actually really do like this song. At first, I
Yeah,
didn't like how slow it was. But actually, like sitting down
that's funny because I feel
in
like
a
that's
relaxed state.
That's funny because I feel like that is the slower element of it is like a NAV thing. Because the rest of the album, like there are slow songs, like the opener and the closer are slow for sure, but like the rest of his albums have like pretty
I
high
think,
energy.
yeah, I think that's why it threw me off because it was the rest of the album is pretty high energy and having the slow one in the middle kind of threw me off. Believe it or not, did my research.
Yeah,
It is exactly like the NAV album because NAV produced this. This
yeah,
is the one track that he produced.
yeah.
Um, what speaking of, since I brought it up, I'll go ahead and jump into that. I think the production, including re-up, so I'll even this is against NAV as well. I like the production on the album. I think it is consistent, which is important because this is borderlining one of its conceptual
Yeah, it has like
concept
a very
albums.
spooky.
Right. Very good job at that.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. It kind of it lacked that umph to me. Um, I liked the beats, but there was maybe 3 times where I was like, when you make like the stank face, you actually make that like, oh, that was actually kind of nice.
yeah,
And so it was there. It was present.
yeah.
It just wasn't that consistent. There was many times where a new beat would come in, or like the chorus would come in, or some that's supposed to be like, "Oh, I feel it," and I was like, "It was alright." Like, it was
That's
alright.
fair. What songs made you make that face though? Let me ask.
When I actually did make the face, believe it or not, the day that I met you, I actually liked a lot. Frozen
Wow,
Water
that
was a
is
peak
what.
for me.
Wow, that's like the song I like the least.
Really,
Yeah.
honestly, then I bet you was decent. Frozen Water, I think is the best track.
Okay, that's
Um,
interesting.
and that might just be because I like Future.
Yeah.
um, believe it or not, I hated Hollywood Interlude. It
Wow,
reminded
really?
it reminded me of a worse 90210. If I'm
Re-
being honest, I did not like Hollywood Interludes. Trap Phone was okay. Re-up grew on me. Consuela, I feel like I get tricked. If
yeah.
that makes sense. I feel like I get tricked because I honestly thought Young Thug was having an actual presence in the song. He did not. He just has ad libs. And
Wait, he
then
has a verse.
does he actually have a
He
verse?
has a verse on his.
Because I looked it up. The verse is really Zach and Young Thug, and Zach's doing most of the talking, I think.
Oh no, I could have sworn he had like a full verse.
Let me see. I could have messed up because the
Yeah.
voices are very similar, and I could have messed up.
Yeah.
But I was just laughing because like Zach is literally like the blood brother of French Montana. Like he couldn't even get front.
I have no idea who Zach is. Like it
He's the
is.
blood brother of French Montana. I'm telling you.
Like, are they
I'm
actually
so serious.
related? Like, I have no idea.
Literally, it's. I'm so serious.
Yeah. Okay, so
Um,
that's funny because like I love Hollywood Interlude, but like it's an interlude.
it's an interview.
Like the thing is like I don't know. I fuck with it, but like I don't know. Frozen Water, I actually did not like for a long time, but actually,
Okay.
upon revisiting it, like I actually really liked it. I was like going hard to it. Like,
No, yeah, Frozen Lot is good. That was probably the peak for me. Um, what else kind of stood out? Trying to think. What I would say after Hollywood Interlude, it kind of dies off a little bit for me.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I love
it
acting different.
let me hold on. I'm gonna play it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. No, Acting Different has a really good beat to it. It
yeah,
actually does. I do remember that one.
yeah,
And like I said, all of it, it's like
yeah,
there are some really high potential.
yeah,
Like I see it in multiple pockets of the album. I just don't know if he's quite at that level.
yeah. Now
And which is go ahead.
what I think is like super funny. Like it is because when you say like, oh, sometimes it just doesn't all come together.
Hmm.
That's a criticism I agree with 100%. Like I think, like especially the mixtapes he had, the first ones before this, even mumble rap, which came after this, which was good by the way. I like mumble rap, and they just had a lot of filler, and it's not, it doesn't come together as you say. Uh,
Right. And that's the thing.
And
It's lacking that it factor, and that's what I was
yeah,
relating to. Where sometimes, it's a tough industry.
it
It
is. It
really
is a
is.
tough industry.
The music that we like, people don't realize, like, when you actually fall in love with a song, there is so much that has to go into it, and so much that has to go right. You can see different things like this that makes you appreciate it a little bit more. And I just feel like it never really clicks. It's
Yeah,
just lacking that it factor.
yeah. I definitely can't disagree with that because it's hard to argue that it just never pops off. It just never ascends higher than the one before it. You know, so there is just something about Belly that just isn't connecting with, and it's not just you. It's just like listeners because
Yeah.
like once again, like Belly just isn't as popular as Nav, like not even close. But I guess my
Yeah.
question is like, what do you get out of Nav that you don't necessarily get out of Belly?
I think the thing is with personally for Nav, it's a whole different subgenre of hip hop. It has
That is
different
true. Yeah,
qualifications. Like, you can make it. There's so many young, talented artists that don't be saying nothing. Like, there's interviews of them saying it. Like, and I laughed about this because, like, with Lil Tecca has a verified Genes video where, like, I don't know if you've seen those videos, but if you've seen
I
those
have. They're
videos,
fun.
basically, right, they say a lyric and then they break it down. And there's like a whole little clip of the whole video that has him going like, "Oh, I get like 10 bitches," and then he's like, "I've never dated like anyone." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm whipping a girl," and then he's like, "I don't have a driver's license." Like, it's stuff like that where, like, it just has different qualifications to make it successful. And I feel like Nav is in a whole different circle that requires different skill sets. And that's
That's
why I enjoy him
undeniable.
more. Right.
That's undeniable.
And Nav does his skill set significantly better than Belly can do his. Now, I won't say that it's easier or harder. I will just say it's different because both of what they're doing takes a lot of talent and skill. And some of it is just natural born talent, but some of it you have to legit like grind and practice it.
Yeah.
And to give Belly some credit, being an artistic, like, well spoken artist with deeper lyrics, it's I don't want to say more difficult because I don't want to compare them, but it is slightly more difficult than just having that persona of making it in Knob Circle.
Yeah. It's a higher bar to clear.
Right.
You can't.
Like, one, to
You
even
can't.
create it,
You can
and
kind
two,
of fake a vibe, but you can't really fake like skill.
right, that's what I'm saying. Where I'm like, one, it's hard to do it, and two, you have to, like, it has to be approved. Like,
Yeah.
people have to actually absorb it and like it.
Yeah. It's got to blow up. You know.
Which is possible. There's plenty. We can list 1,000. I'm sure you and I can go back and forth of deep conceptual artists that have insane, mind blowing lyrics.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, it is something of note.
Yeah. No. That's definitely the case. You're 100% on with that one.
And I guess another thing, going back to wait, I feel like I cut you off. You were going to say something.
No. No, you didn't.
Okay. Another thing that kind of stood out to me, and I remember you bringing up the discussion of being an industry plant with Nine.
Yeah.
Do you think it translates to Belly in any sense? And I'll say why I'm asking. Because I found out NZOMBIA came out after a 5-year hiatus.
Yes.
I didn't know this. Belly just wasn't putting out music, I guess, for
Yeah.
5 years. Whatever he was going through in his life, whatever other business ventures, God bless him. But he wasn't making music for 5 years. And he comes back and he's able to get Future, Young Thug, Ty Dolla Sign. He has EXO's support. This mixtape was put out under Rock Nation, so he has Rock Nation support. At what point do we start actually critiquing and judging. Because
Well,
at some point, not saying like life is an ABC scale, like you're graded in school, but if you're given all your resources and you're still not performing, and now you're 38, you got to start thinking: is are we really judging him as harshly as we should?
well, so that 5 year hiatus is interesting because just because like I'm a fan of the artist, like I know the backstory a little bit,
Okay.
and I don't think Belly qualifies as an industry plant.
Okay.
I don't necessarily though think he's above the criticism of being propped up,
Interesting. Okay.
right? Because the thing was like Belly was a in the trenches Canadian rapper, and he was like one of the first to ever get any kind of notoriety, right? But his first run and his first album were not successful. Like, I'm actually gonna look right now because I have his music pulled up. Like, I'm actually gonna
Well,
see if you can even listen to it untitled. No, you can't. Like, they were just
okay.
like it was like a famously bad run from a very locally well respected rapper,
Okay.
right? And from what I know, The Weeknd was just kind of a fan. And as XO blew up, Belly worked as a songwriter. Because that's another thing is that the same way that Nav has a career as a producer that precedes his solo career, Belly works as a songwriter. He
See.
Yeah, so he wrote the song that you remember the song with The Weeknd and Ariana Grande that won the Oscar for 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes, but I can't think of the name, but I do know the song
Neither
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you know that like he wrote that. Like he wrote that entire song. He was the one who won the Oscar.
Didn't he write for Beyonce too,
Yeah,
right?
he
He
wrote
wrote
for
for Beyonce.
Beyonce.
He's gotten awards for this.
Yeah, he's gotten
I'm
awards.
pretty
He
sure he's
won like
gotten awards.
Songwriter of the Year in Canada, right? Um, which I think just speaks to like my biases and like my
Especially as a writer and
yeah,
creator.
just like the kind of thing I appreciate. He also wrote he was one of the writers on Faith and the main writer on Blinding Lights.
two, two songs that are implemented inside of like the left side of your brain now.
Yeah. So yeah, he just has like that entire element to him. So what I'm trying to get at, and this will be tighter when you listen to it, I don't think he's an industry plant just because he had that local career. But I think it's fair to say that he is propped up by being on the Weeknd's team and as like a solo artist who's like putting out his own music. Because I think otherwise he probably would be a very wealthy and very well respected songwriter. But I think it's fair to say that because he has like the clout from that, and also I do think he has a fair amount of respect from people who actually know what's going on. Like once again, like I know a ton of people who know Belly and they all like him.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're a fan, like you're a fan.
Yeah, if you're a fan,
There's
you're a
not
fan.
like fake fans, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
yeah. Do I think like he's certainly getting support and help? Like support is even I think softening it a little.
but I
Yeah,
do know what
I
you mean. I
definitely
know what
think
you mean.
that's fair. But I would fight against the industry plant thing because like he had an entire local career before that.
Do you think, and the reason, there's one ultimate question I'm gonna get to lastly, but before I get there, I'm just curious because now it popped up in my head. So in reality, he started off maybe as a songwriter, and
Yeah.
he's known to be talented in terms of writing songs and just like his wordplay, his word choice. Do you think he would have benefited in going more instead of that route? Because we have other careers of people starting off one way and wanting to branch out. Obviously, the biggest one is Kanye. Kanye
Yeah.
started off with a producer. Now he's the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
So honestly, there's some people that could benefit towards like having that shift. But there's also many failed careers.
Yeah.
Do you think he took the right route? I guess I should ask.
Well, I guess the thing is that like if we can get a little meta here right now,
Okay.
I think Belly's solo music career is very similar to like my podcasting career, in that it is not the main staple of my career.
Okay.
You know, now does that necessarily? So it's hard to say that it's a waste of time or it was a mistake when it's something I'm doing in addition to my career. Now, you're right. I'm sure Belly would have had a better career as a songwriter if he didn't pursue his solo music. But personally, just, I'm going to say this selfishly. No, I think he made the right choice. I think he has made, you know, several classic albums. I think he has made several albums worth of classic songs. I don't think he has a classic album by any stretch, but I think he has several albums worth of classic songs. And that's good enough for me.
Honestly, I do agree. Honest to God, I do agree. I'm glad that he did his career.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not necessarily a big fan,
Yeah.
I am a fan of him and I like some of the songs.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of meaning and power behind having your name behind a project and actually going out and pursuing whatever you find passionate.
Yeah.
And regardless of how many fans you have, even though if between us two on the podcast, I'm the one that focuses on numbers, I still find value in this existing in our world. This is something that we will never meet him. Like, we'll never meet this artist. We don't know anything about his life story, and yet we can still step into a world that he creates, and I think that's powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I'll say then, just to kind of this be my last question.
Go right ahead.
I'm going to sound ignorant, and I'm doing this on purpose. And this is one of the biggest things that I wanted to push back on. I know he is a lyricist, or he is a writer. I don't think he's a lyricist myself. I know he is a writer. He does a great job at kind of telling these stories. I don't know this, so I'm going to sound ignorant, and I want you to either correct me or support it, whatever you feel, as a actual fan to him. Does he actually stand behind his music? And the reason, besides the whole amateur vibe that I brought up earlier, another thing about being corny or fake, and it's very easy to have negative opinions put upon you within the culture, is when you're fake. And I don't know, I didn't really grasp a persona behind the music. I feel like some of the themes that came up in the songs, there are multiple themes, but two things that came up is like kind of his trap influence and also kind of women in general. And I understand this was 5 years ago that he released this, but the Belly that I know, I just can't connect the lyrics to the person. Like, as of right now, I know he just got engaged last year to like a doctor who's going to be making more money than him.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to be the one signing the prenup when they get married. And so being in a hip hop culture who is historically known to be degrading and like almost objectifying women, it's interesting to like see Belly, quote unquote, not be the head of the household and then like rap about women in like that kind of sense, or like be a trap star when I don't know anything about him, like, trapping.
Well, okay, so I don't know anything either. I just, I know a lot, like, Jadakiss has been on the record of being like, yeah, he's about that life, so like.
Okay. Interesting.
I think, because you're right, he does have like this very womanizing, verbose attitude in his music that is just does not seem congruent with who he is as a person.
Like, at all.
Like, yeah, no,
and that
especially
how I
nowadays,
feel about him.
especially nowadays, and especially like his last album, which I liked a lot. Like, I liked his last album a lot. It probably fucked by his release schedule more than any other album in my last memory.
In history of all artists.
Yeah. His last album was released dead in the center of Donda and Certified Lover Boy. But like, he has that song Zero Love, which has like some really, not like gross, but like, like womanizing lyrics, but he has, this attitude.
Like the middle of him getting engaged.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think personally, I don't give a shit because he comes across authentic in his more serious songs, and he speaks authentically about like both the trap side of it, because that part comes across to me as extremely authentic. And just I
just don't know Belly. That could be my fault. That's on me.
Yeah. Well, no, because like I think like that's totally fair though, just because like he doesn't have the aesthetic of someone who you would consider like a trap artist
at all.
Yeah, but like I don't want to repeat something that could be like a crime, but from what I hear, that 5-year hiatus was like him like actually selling drugs. Like,
interesting.
Like actually being like one of the top drug dealers like in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
so
I said, like, you put me on. I honestly I didn't know, and that really affected how I felt about it.
But at the same time, like what you're saying about like the womanizer aspect, I think is totally true. I think it's something that could have been true of him at one point that he is just still playing out. And to me, that doesn't come across as corny yet.
Yet? Okay.
Is that fair? Like,
okay, if you do say yet, which I will allow,
yeah.
What is the borderline? Like,
I think the borderline.
At what point do you go, bro? You got kids?
Like, yeah, I think it's just going to be. I think the thing is that if he doesn't change at some point, that is just inevitably going to happen. Is it the next album? Maybe, probably not. Is it the album after that? Maybe, probably. Like. But once again, I think he does get like some leeway on that just because of the authenticity he brings to like both the trappier songs he makes, but also like some of the more emotional songs he makes. Like I think in the like he makes like those 3 kinds of songs, and I do think a criticism of Belly is that like he really only makes like those 3 songs like over and over again.
That's about it.
Yeah, he really does. He makes like the trap song. He makes Trap Phone. He makes Ballerina, and he makes Die For It, and like over and over again. Yeah, I think that's totally.
There's
fair.
other versions of those songs. No, I mean you're right.
I just think he's a good enough writer that he could get away with it. Like that's my argument.
He has enough skills, enough in his bag. I'll say it that way. He has enough in his bag to make different variations of those things.
Yeah.
And have them be different.
And also, like, that same thing is very true of a lot of artists. I mean, like, Post Malone only has one kind of song. Like,
bro. Hold on. Is Post Malone worse than Belly? Is that what we're about to get?
Oh, I would say that that's not even close. Like, wow. I would say that's not even close. Like, personally, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you were gonna say like J. Cole, I'd be like, yeah, it's not even close in the other direction.
Whole different
like, like
whole different planet.
Lots of artists that it's like in a different direction. But no, for me, like, I think there are plenty of artists who have less creative outputs, like less like variety. And like.
Oh yeah.
And look, I also think there are artists who are simultaneously clearly better than Belly and have less variety than him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think like the best example would be someone like Pusha T.
I was just about to say,
undeniably a better rapper, but like he kind of had.
And it's all trap, all cocaine, drugs, trap.
Low key though, could you see the 2 on a track together? I'd like that. Like,
please make it happen.
Yeah, I think that would be great. But yeah, like no, like that's it. And the thing is that I think Belly is good enough that he can do it as much as he has. But he just has to change, and I think he has been. I do think his music has been maturing.
I mean, the fact that Immigrant is a concept album on the exact thing that I was just talking about, like opening up that demographic.
Yeah.
He clearly has developed mentally.
Yeah. And also I would say See You Next Wednesday. I think it has like some songs that read like classic Belly mixtape songs, but I think it's much more leaning into the maturity of it, like that depth to it. Stuff like Die For It, Moment of Silence, Flowers, shit like that. And then there's like, I also think he's definitely going to be going into that more Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun sounds. I could totally see him like transitioning there because I think that's a lane where he'll be a lot more successful.
Okay, that answers the ultimate question, which is
Yeah.
where are we going next?
Yeah.
How do we actually improve?
Yeah. Now, like, is there anything involving Belly that if you heard, you'd be like, oh shit, that's what's up? Like, if you heard he had an album with someone or like a track with someone, is there anything that you could hear that would perk you up and be like, it would just activate for you?
I mean, we just said Pusha T. Now that I know that Belly actually is
Yeah.
could be a trap star, then yeah, I would like to see that. It honestly, it would take much. Like I said, like my dislike for Belly is more at a personal level of like the amateur, the corny, is he fake or not, things like that.
Yeah.
Then it actually has to do with the music itself, which is decent. It's
Yeah.
passable. It's good. So if you were to tell me like, bro, like he's dropping a song with something, like I wouldn't second guess
Yeah.
it. I will absolutely press play. It won't take a lot. I will gladly do it.
Yeah. Like if I'm like, yo, Belly and Kendrick, what? You'd be like,
right?
Okay.
Like it would take, but like it don't even have to be Kendrick. If you was just like, bro, Belly actually dropped a really dope song, I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
So he does have that going for him. He is fully verified. He is a verified artist. So I respect him, but I am worried for him as he is 38, and I don't know if I see much upside to him actually gaining popularity. Because when you make it this far, you got to start thinking, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if you're a smaller scale artist, then it's fine. You can stay smaller scale. You can be underground. You can have, 10,000 followers and you're committed people that you make music for, where it's like, oh, yeah, I know Joe. He was signed to XO, but that's about it. But at some point, when you make it this far, like, you want to be that person that's like, if I'm your friend and I'm like, oh, I know Belly, everyone should know who Belly is. I don't have to explain it.
Yeah. Also,
so
just gonna put this out here: the name doesn't help.
It does not.
Google Belly. You won't find a rapper.
You won't see. Yeah, you'll see it on our searches because Google knows what we listen to and do. But an average,
not mine.
Search,
it gave me the video.
Really?
It gave me the movie, movie Belly. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna search it. Okay, yeah, no, it is the film that comes up right away. But rapper was coming up for me as well.
Yeah.
But regardless, for me personally, and it's funny because normally we fix everything by saying, "Have you tried a concept album?"
Yeah.
But I think personally for him, he needs to find something within himself where he can come up with a way to inspire and lead people to him. However he does that, I think he's good.
I think he just needs to find a better lane. I don't think he's ever going to make it as like a pop rap artist.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he got into the lane of like the more hardcore hip hop,
then it'll be good.
Yeah. You know whose career Belly's really reminds me of is like both members of Run the Jewels. Like I remember like listening to like there was like a season-long podcast with LP I listened to last year.
Right.
Where he talks about how he like literally like could not afford to keep doing music, and then Run the Jewels popped off. Like
I didn't know that.
And like Belly's not in that position because of his career as a songwriter, but like I think like that could be where he like I think that's like the best case scenario for him. Is like maybe he could be one of these dudes who like hops off in his 40s like Killer Mike and LP did. But that's to be seen.
Yeah. That is to be seen. I am hopeful.
My only thing is that like to me, I think there's just a disconnect because I just genuinely think he deserves more success than he has. Like I think the work he has put out, it boggles my mind that he has not gotten more success than that from what he has put out. Not necessarily like himself as an artist, everything. I just think the music he has made itself is just so good. I'm shocked that it's not as popular as like Nav. Like
It's interesting that you say that because that is one thing that I actually truly do agree with. Like, as a person who I'll call myself a fan because I'm not rooting against him. But like you said, I'm probably the most negative fan that you have, or
I
negative
know
friend
personally.
that you have that you know personally. And like, there's plenty of artists out there who have not necessarily made it, but I feel like are just receiving more positive feedback in general. Like Buddy, I feel like has received more positive feedback, and he is not quite as popular. There's artists in that circle like Hitchcock that I found personally that I just enjoyed. Like I enjoyed their music, and I don't understand why they'll be getting pushback in that sense. Or like Mike Jenkins, there's a whole list of people that I feel are just doing very successful within their own little circle. Saba, Smino, all these people. So I don't understand why it's just not working.
Yeah.
Like it's working for so many other people where I feel like Saba is borderline a big name.
Yeah.
Smino is a big name. Reason is a big name. Buddy is a big name. Mike Jenkins. There's a whole list of people. BJ the Chicago Kid. Like there's so many people that come to mind that are still small time, but they still are like known. And so I just don't get why Belly hasn't hit that bridge.
Yeah, it's a thinker. It's kind of hard to say. But it does suck. And I think the last thing I want to say before we move on from the topic is I do think it's like funny that we put these two artists together that collab on like every project. Like,
No, yeah, they are. It is ridiculous how similar they are.
yeah,
We said this at the beginning, and it's not even on purpose.
yeah, like it really is. Uh, but yeah, that's I'm happy you listened though. I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, that was the fight, everybody.
Who won? No, I'm just playing.
Who won? And you can't vote if you haven't listened to Belly music. Like if you haven't listened to his songs, don't vote. Stop it. Like
I guess that's a fair asterisk.
yeah.
Should we do recommendations?
Let's do recommendations. Get out of here.
Are you do you have yours up? Are you ready? Do you
I'm ready. I got mine. Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. So this one I teased. I teased last week when I was at the My House Music Festival.
Okay.
I put some stuff on the old Instagram. Because I was out very late every night for that. So naturally, I was playing this song a lot. I'm going to be recommending Through the Late Night by Travis Scott.
Wow. Wow. We listening to the album tonight.
Yeah, no, that song, I stand by the fact that I think that album is mostly very flat, but that song is incredible. And I love how it's just like an interpolation of day and night, just like the Travis Scott version.
You know I like this album. I love this album.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you
It's my
do.
soft spot.
I know you do.
What I will do next. This is something I actually just found yesterday. I was listening to Playboy Cardi, Whole Lot of Red, and then Spotify started doing recommended music. Did you know that Quavo has dropped like individual singles this year?
I was somewhat familiar with it.
I had no idea. He's dropped a song this year called Shooters Inside My Crib. I never thought. Now, Migos is a strictly club turn up group. They are fantastic. They have countless hits. Quavo Shooters Inside My Crib actually had meaning. Like it is an upbeat song, but I wouldn't call it a turn up song. It actually had like a decent like theme and like message behind it. So it kind of caught me off guard. So I'm gonna be recommending Quavo's song "Shooters Inside My Crib." It was
Wow.
probably the most like intellectual lyrics I've ever heard out of any of the Migos.
I'll have to give that a listen because I like Quavo. He's not
Highly
my
recommend.
favorite Migo, but he's
Who's your
also
favorite?
not the worst Migo.
Nah, you're gonna have to listen now.
No, Offset is my favorite.
Fine, that's fair.
Takeoff is the worst one.
I put Quavo over Offset personally.
Quavo has better lyrics, but I feel like Offset is more consistent.
Okay, I agree. We met a middle point.
Yeah. All right, so my next one, exact opposite feeling. This is when through the late night is like over and you're starting to crash.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend Bleach by Brockhampton.
Man, you are just Jesus
Emotional
Christ,
whiplash, like.
you are all over the place.
But what a good song, right? Like,
You know what's crazy? I haven't listened to Saturation 2 in ages.
that is from Saturation 3, but
That's from 3?
yeah,
I mean, just in general, like any of the Saturations.
dude.
But specifically, I like 2 the most.
2 is the best one. 2 is the best Brockhampton album. I don't think anyone would argue that.
Man.
Yeah. I don't. There's just something. I think for the rest of my life, the second it starts getting hot out, Saturation trilogy. Like there's just something that's just going to be a thing for the rest of my life.
You know what?
I don't think there has been a group I've listened to as consistently as Brockhampton like since Saturation 3 came out, which is when I started listening to them.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I probably haven't said that. I think about it. I don't pay them enough attention that I should. And I'm gonna listen to the Saturation.
Well, they don't exist anymore, so you're fine.
You don't have to say it that way. That's just real depressing. Okay, my next one, throwback. Always try to get a throwback in there. I picked the song "Scenario" by a Tribe Called Quest. I didn't realize there's a music video to this. I'm pretty sure.
That song's so good.
And
Scenario.
when you listen to it, I feel like I'm just like taken back. Like I am just in a whole different world.
Oh my god, that's classic song.
So I'm saying, I feel like
That's
I'm
a
in the
scenario.
'90s again.
No, yeah, I'm gonna be listening to that immediately. We're gonna be ending this episode quickly.
And you're gonna be listening to this. Okay.
So,
Oh, what's your last one?
my last one was today when I got home, I was like, "Fuck, what should?" Because truth be told, I just been listening to a lot of Belly, a lot of J Cole, like same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's mostly how I work. Like it's like 60% of it is like one or two artists, and then like the rest is like finding new shit. But
Mm-hmm.
I hit shuffle on my computer, and this song came up, and it was just like, Jesus Christ! A year ago, I was listening to this song constantly. It reminds me of being 29 more than anything else in the world, even though it did not come out last year. And that is "Now and Forever" by Drake.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a great song.
got nothing else to say. Great song. Oh, I've actually no. This actually did bring up a Drake question I got for you.
Okay.
Do you think it's so easy to call out Drake for being so shitty because we have so much legitimately good Drake music?
Ah, that's tough.
Because like, so let's take More Life, something both of us are like not a huge fan of, right? As far as I know.
Well, I like More Life. Not as much as the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
I okay.
But like, when he releases some tired bullshit like that, it's like you listen to it next to a Nothing Was Ever the Same, a Take Care, a If You're Reading This It's Too Late.
He gets a
And
pass.
no, it's not that he gets a pass. It's that it's so obvious that it's bad by comparison
Oh,
to
yeah.
like, it's not like, like who's an artist who only releases music? It's not like B.O.B. where it just washes over you. Like it's there's a point of reference, and it does not make for a good listen.
I would say like for us, like you and I, because we are huge Drake fans, like we're huge into the genre just in general. I think it's easier for us to tell the difference, like right away. And like I won't even count, honestly, never mind, because it's a whole different genre.
Yeah.
We knew that, everyone knew that immediately. But I feel like you and I can tell much quicker what's like BS and what's not. And so that's what I was gonna say, like, we have a quicker understanding of like if this is good or not faster. And so we could easily be like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to it and get rid of it, or like I'm gonna listen to it and find meaning in it. But anyway, bro, you gave me 3 really good songs. Like I want to listen to the whole albums of each, but I don't have time. But anyway, I'll just close it out. My last one, you're probably gonna laugh, but do you remember YNW Melly?
I remember the song "Murder on My Mind" because it's incredible.
Well, I did one of his, and it's not Murder on My Mind, even though that is a great song. I did Mixed Personalities featuring Kanye West.
That was another one.
Man, this song bangs. Now, it's weird saying that knowing he's in jail for killing his friend, but it's a good song.
I mean, is it less weird than listening to "Murder on My Minds"?
You make a good point.
That's like, isn't that like about like him murdering his friend?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that
life
they
sucks.
Usually gets him in court.
Like, well,
anyway,
that's our closing.
That's the podcast.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, losers.